People say to me all the time, "Oh, why are you into occult stuff?" And those people, they don't really want to know the answer to that question. It's a rhetorical question to express their distrust, or they don't approve of whatever behavior they imagine me doing. I don't go around saying that either. I don't go around saying, "Oh yeah, I'm into occult stuff." I don't know. Saying it like that is kind of weird. Um, it's just, I don't know. People who ask that, it's like they just don't know what the word occult really means. So I think that I will answer that question um, as if I'm answering it to someone who's sincerely asking it. Why are you into occult stuff? You know, someone who actually wants to learn something. And yeah, so really the only way to answer that is to just explain what the occult is in a generic sense. Yeah, there's there's the dictionary definition, which has to do with weird stuff. Weird, mysterious, unexplained stuff. And if you're into weird, mysterious, unexplained stuff, then you're into occult stuff, I guess. And that's kind of like the dictionary definition. Sometimes it can mean hidden, which is kind of similar. It's unexplained stuff. Hidden from understanding. And that's generally how people use the term. A lot of times, occult refers to stuff like, I don't know, Bigfoot or UFOs. But I would say most of the time, the person who's using the term is picturing some kind of like a religious themed event, like a ritual that you would see in an esoteric or secret society, dealing with like magic, that kind of stuff. That's usually what people imagine, I think. I actually don't do any of that. I just study consciousness. I don't know. I study consciousness. I study science. I study philosophy. I'm not part of any secret society. I don't do vision magic. I don't really meditate that much. I'm not in contact with any spiritual beings. I don't do hexes on people. I don't know. And I think actually most people who do that aren't actually doing that. They're just pretending they are. They're just LARPing. They're playing pretend. But there are people who actually understand what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they possibly effectively do things like that. So that's the common, I guess, explicit understanding or meaning of the term occult. But if you think about it, there's also a more broad, implicit, I guess, meaning to the term. And that is, see, occult, you're usually referring to the really, really strange, really unknown, weird stuff. And I think that's the focus, because that is the pinnacle of what the occult is in a generic sense, which is this: the effort to understand things that are not understood. That's really what it is. Literally everything that is not understood, if you put effort into understanding it, then I would consider that occult activity, occult behavior. You're into occult stuff. You're into the occult, however you want to phrase it. And that is a broad kind of understanding of the term occult. And it's very broad. I think that almost all people are at least at the receiving end of some kind of occult activity. Almost all people. And most people have engaged in some form of occult activity. If you've ever studied something that is not really known, if you're not like studying for a test, if you're actually researching something that no one knows about, then that's definitely occult. That's definitely in there. And then there's like the sideline stuff, like basically if you've ever gone to church, if you've ever prayed or engaged in any kind of religious ritual, that definitely has an element of the occult to it. I would consider that an occult activity. Yeah. If you've ever laid in bed at night, looking out the window, wondering why are we here, then you're an occultist, and that's my perspective. I'll give you an example of why I think this way. Parapsychology. Parapsychology is basically the most occult activity one could possibly do in modern times. It's just the name for modern occult activities that aren't. It's like the scientific name for the occult. And yet, a lot of people who are into parapsychology or are parapsychologists really strangely turn their nose up at the word occult. They go, "Oh, why are you into occult stuff?" Like, literally, dude. Parapsych. How can you live and study parapsychology and yet not understand what the term occult means? I have a bookshelf full of occult books, and they're basically just parapsychology books, like old parapsychology books. Like, literally, you basically have thousands of years, all cultures throughout humanity, all this history and experience of basically parapsychology, and yet you ignore all of it because it's called occult. Okay? People who do that are mentally retarded. So, the occult does actually have a broad meaning. And it actually is more broad than that. The effort to understand things that are not understood are also paired with the inherent acknowledgement that things are not understood. Simply just the part of you inside of you that wonders why we're here, where we came from, where we're gonna go. So that's why religion it has some major elements to it. Like, it talks about the past, it talks about the future, it talks about consciousness, and those are some of the main issues religion deals with. And consciousness is, I would say, it's one of those keystones of that which is not understood. It's like the pinnacle. It's the most difficult thing to understand, or just the nature of being in general, consciousness and the nature of being. And religion deals with those things because those are questions that every human has. What makes a human? What actually makes a human is our self-awareness, our free will, our desire to understand things, to understand ourselves, and religion, I guess, is an attempt to answer all those questions, and that's why religion is a big part of the occult. I would say that occult is the human condition, and everything related to it. I would say that the occult is humanity itself. If you actually isolated what makes a human, that would be inseparable from what the word occult means. The occult has always been a part of humanity. So now the question, why are you into occult stuff, kind of sounds like a silly question to ask. The answer to that question is because we're all going to die at some point. And what is the point in living unless you're not trying to actually understand or find out about these things? How can you actually live and pretend that you know everything, and yet you don't know the meaning of the word occult? I'm going to end this video with a passage from the Bible, Ecclesiastes 9:10. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. For in the realm of the dead, where you are going, there is neither working, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom.